Well, welcome in. We can go ahead and hide that for a second. That is Riku Mukherjee. I'm Tony Altieri. And Rick, I love the intro video. Mike, our boy, the leader of the Nickel City Mafia channel, he's all about the cold start. Just start the show right into it. Him, Jake, whoever's sitting there. But I love the intro, dude. I'm all about the intro. Are you an intro guy?
Yeah. For podcasts, I'm an intro guy. I love the intro for podcasts. For TV shows, I like cold openings. I don't like the whole intro theme song to a show. I like it straight into the episode. But for podcasts, I like the intros.
Yeah, I know. It kind of adds a little, like, as a guy who played sports, like, like when I was in high school and college and they'd announce you and the music would be going, like, it's just part of the whole deal. So I feel it feels naked walking into it without an intro, I have to say.
Get you fired up, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're here late night on a Tuesday. I'm in Phoenix. Rick, you're back in California. It is 8:30 p.m. West Coast time, 9:30 here in Mountain Standard Time where I am. And we're on the cusp of another elevated event, the second one of the year. It's a stacked field. It's Pebble Beach. The weather looks like it's going to be absolute garbage. We expect carnage. 80 guys in the field, no cut. We've had 4 winners over 100 to 1. I mean, it's just chaos right now. There's so much happening. And on top of all of that, which I think is at least we should spend a couple of minutes talking about this, the announcement of Live. Now there's this big meeting the PGA Tour is going to have tomorrow morning at like 8:30 a.m. East Coast time to talk about the imminent deal. Like, it just, for me as a golf fan, like you have stated many times on this show, I just want to see the best guys playing against each other week in and week out. And since Liv's come along, it's taken many of the personalities, a lot of the bad guys, a lot of the compelling storylines, and it's kind of separated those guys and put them in like golf purgatory, right? There's like no media interest, there's no coverage. You don't know when they're playing, what channel they're on. It's just a joke, but it's totally taken away a number, including John Rahm, the best player in the world, in my opinion. And here we are, we're sitting on, I guess, the eve of a big announcement of the PGA Tour. And I'm just curious. The Liv just signed 2 more guys in Moronk and Hatton. Like, how do you see this all playing out and coming together?
That's a good question. I don't really know. I think we're gonna have PGA Tour and Live for this year. Obviously, I'm hoping they can get something together by next year, so that these guys can come back and play on the PGA Tour. Because, as Rory said this morning, he likes competing against the best players in the world, and I miss seeing the best players in the world play week in and week out. And obviously, we're still going to get that 4 times a year at the majors, but we're not going to get guys that I like at the majors unless they play on the PGA Tour, like Mito Pereira. I mean, Mito maybe, but like people like Joaquin Niemann, he might not make majors. Taylor Gooch, like these guys that are on like the second and third tier of Live, they're not gaining enough OWGR points to be able to play in these majors. So it's like a situation where it's like, yeah, we're gonna get the best players in the world 4 times a year, but I like seeing these other guys, these second tier and third tier guys, play week in and week out on the PGA Tour, and that's when you get the most compelling action. And it seems like, all these guys that have gone to Live, do you think it's a coincidence? Let me ask you this question. Do you think it's a coincidence that, Live has taken away a lot of these guys, and then all of a sudden we have, I think it's like the first time ever maybe, where we have 4 straight tournaments where, a triple digit long shot winner has won tournaments. I mean, the depth of these fields have gotten really weak. So it's like a situation like anyone can win. I mean, the top of the board guys are still there. Like last week there was Xander and Finau, like they're still there, but I don't know, man. I feel like these guys that are winning these tournaments these last 4 weeks, they wouldn't be winning tournaments if Rahm and Cam Smith and DJ and Bryson were on the field, and Brooks, like these names that we're so accustomed to seeing at the top of leaderboards. So I feel like it's taken away a little bit of the product from the PGA Tour. I'm a little I don't know. I'm a little annoyed by it, that we haven't seen somebody that's won yet this year that should be winning golf tournaments. I honestly, this past weekend at Torrey, a beautiful course that we both played multiple times. I mean, I was fired up for football, obviously, on Sunday, but like I didn't watch anything on Saturday. I watched like the last like 5 holes of golf on Saturday. That's about it. It was such a bad leaderboard. It was guys that we've never. I mean, me and you have heard of them, but like the average golf fan that's going to tune in on the final round of a golf tournament, they're not going to know who these guys are. Matthew Pavon and Thomas Dietrich and all these guys that are up there. So I think it's taken away a little bit of the product away from the PGA Tour, and I really hope they can get it together in 1 year and get these guys back on tour.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting because I think it's a valid point. Like when you scrape the cream of the crop off of the top of the PGA Tour, what you're left is with a lot of guys. And again, it's not a knock, but you're left with the Cantlays and the Xanders and the Finals and all these guys that we know are very good, but like their win equity is not that high. Like they don't close out tournaments. And, I think the other part of it that for me is just in general a sports fan. And when you talk about like the average random person watching sports, like you took away a bunch of the personalities, like love them or hate them. Like, Brooks Koepka, people pay attention to Brooks. People pay attention to Phil, to Bryson. Like they're captivating figures. And I think the PGA's lost some of that connection with the casual sport fans. Like the hardos, like you mentioned, like guys like me or you that are building models and putting together lineups and betting and doing DFS and all of these other one and done every single week. Like it doesn't matter. Like you can plug and play guys. The fact that Dunlap won as a college player to me speaks to the depth of like the future of the PGA Tour. The fact that the Korn Ferry Tour and the PGA Tour U are so deep that these are kids come in ready to like compete now. Like that's a compelling story to me, and that's the part of Live that Live lacks. Like Live doesn't have that developmental farm system that can feed new superstars into Live Golf. They just have to peel guys away from the PGA, and I think that's a massive detriment to Live. Which is why when you take the Live model and insert it and put it on top of the PGA model, okay, I can kind of see that making sense. The whole TGL thing, I never really got it. Like simulator golf with teams, that whole concept to me was not compelling. And I understand why the PGA was trying to do it, but with everything happening right now, and I guess with this announcement that Monahan's going to make on a call with, basically the player board to tell them, hey, the deal is structured. This is how it's going to work. This is what's going to go effect. My gut is like you. We probably have at least probably this year and maybe even next year with the current format with both leagues completely separated, and that they would structure something for, let's say, the majors in 2025 and the Ryder Cup. Obviously, it's not being played in 2025, but that these guys would have the ability to earn points and do different things, and then potentially have an impact even on the President's Cup this year, right? To put that all together to allow these guys on Live to play in the President's Cup. And I think what we end up with is starting in 2026, something that resembles like what happens in Premier League soccer, where you've got like leagues within countries, and then you have guys that go and compete in friendlies or go to teams and go and play for them for a short spurt of time. So I think you could see a similar thing with Live. I Live on its own makes no sense. Like it does not make any sense. It's bleeding money, but obviously the PIF can throw whatever they want at it. It's not a big deal. But when you layer the Live model, the team model on top of the PGA, and maybe those become the elevated events, is basically Live Tour events. Now that kind of makes sense with the team aspect and making trades. And to me, these people that believe that the Live teams are going to be worth like hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, like it's a joke, because like I said, you don't, there's no coverage on TV. Like you can't even turn into ESPN and be like, oh, there's a Live tournament and guys warming up. Like there's coverage for a Jabroni Amex tournament, but there's no coverage for Live. So I don't want to spend a bunch of time talking about it because like you, I don't really have the answers, but I do think that there's an ecosystem where both leagues can exist. But I would say this, the thing that is discouraging to me as a PGA Tour fan, a fan of the current ecosystem, is it was basically toppled by a league that came out of nowhere and had no media coverage, no fan interest, no anything, and it almost toppled the PGA Tour. So it shows you how fragile like professional golf is, and that part of it is disappointing to me.
Yeah, I agree. I just, I don't know, man. Like you said, we don't have all the information. I just hope it's just I really hope it's just a 1 year thing, and they're back in 2025 altogether. Which I think which is why we're seeing people like Ty Hatton and Adrian Moronk and John Rahm go over to LIV now, because I think in the back of their minds they know that they're going to come back to the PGA Tour very, very shortly, and they made their buku bucks going over there. So yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else to say on the topic. I mean, I didn't even realize there was a LIV event playing this week. Like, I didn't realize their opening week was
It's
this
at
week.
Mayakoba. It's a former PGA
Yeah.
track. Yeah.
Right, exactly. I didn't even know that. Maybe it gets some more eyes on the LIV, because I'm going to watch the PGA Tour event this week because it's the best players playing this week, and maybe people are going to tune into LIV also because they're going to be like, oh, Rory and Scheffler are playing this week. Let me go check out the CW. To answer your question, Mike, where can you find a LIV tournament on TV? It's on the CW channel. You can. They're in Mexico. Maybe people will turn on that channel to see Rahm play and Cam Smith play and DJ play. So I don't know. I really don't have much else to say about it. I mean, we'll see what this announcement and meeting is going to be like tomorrow, but it looks like Rory walked back a lot of his statements that he made last year, that he, this animosity he had towards LIV, but it seems like he wants these players to come back and he wants to compete against them, and we want to see that as fans.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the one thing, if I'm Rory McIlroy, and I don't know what's happening behind closed doors, I see what you see, right? And during the course of the initial split, like Rory was kind of that guy holding the PGA flag out front, like, I'm going to stand up for Jay, I'm going to stand up for the league, I'm going to stand up for what I believe in. And he took what they gave him, and when I say they, the PGA Tour communications, Jay Monahan, whoever was feeding him all of this information, giving him the talking points, and he ran with it. And I mean, he put himself on that cross for the PGA Tour, and dude got hung out to dry behind closed doors while Rory was saying all the things that they wanted him to say. The PGA Tour was actively trying to broker a deal with LIV, and it made him look like a complete fool. And so I think, to your point, like, for him to be in this moment, retrospectively looking back at the last year and a half and be like, you know what? Fuck this. Like, you know what? I just want to play with the guys that I want to play with. I want to play against the best guys in the world. I don't care where it is. I don't care what it's called. Let's just get everybody back together. Let's make the Ryder Cup compelling. Let's do all these things that I think we as fans have been saying for, almost 2 years now. And I'm happy that Rory now has the freedom and the ability to say what he really thinks rather than reading from the edict that he's been handed.
Yeah, me too. I just think there was a change and shift in attitude once he saw Rahm go, because we knew that Rahm was kind of against LIV too, obviously, because he's a outspoken member of the PGA Tour policy board, and I think once Rory saw him go, he realized that, hey, these guys have families to feed, they have they have generational wealth to accumulate, so. Why not? I mean, Rory is already there. Like, he doesn't need to earn any more money, and he'll be, obviously set for life, and his kids will be set for life. But, these guys are still young. Rahm's still young. I mean, and Ty Hatton's still, like, these guys are still young, and they need to make the money to get over there. And I think, like I said earlier, I think they're just going to make that money, and they're going to come right back to the PGA Tour next year.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a smart business decision from these guys. And I think the other thing that I take away from this, and we'll put a pin in it and move on to this week's tournament, is the only guy that moves the needle is still Tiger. And they threw $1 billion at him, and he said, no, thanks. So as long as Tiger still wants to be part of the PGA Tour, they've got a leg to stand on, and they'll continue to be the stalwart and the brand that everybody recognizes. But back to Pebble Beach, another historic tournament. This is a great course that, like, over the last couple of years, it's basically died because it's been sandwiched between the Farmers and the Genesis and Waste Management, and nobody was playing this thing. And so the PGA Tour, they stepped up and made this an elevated event. It is kind of an odd mix in the fact that It's a pro-am event, so you're going to get, the chief marketing officer from, DaVitas Dialysis playing with, Bo Hostler and for 2 rounds. But the reality is, like, this is an elevated event worth $20 million, and we're going to get a truncated course rotation. Typically, it's like Pebble, Spyglass, and what's the other one? MP is what I always resonates in my head. Monterey Peninsula, yeah. Seamus Powers, Kryptonite, right? Like, it's like, oh, he's great at the other ones. Don't play him at Monterey Peninsula. Anyways, that's been kicked to the curb. And so we find ourselves with basically 3 rounds of Pebble Beach. Very difficult course, wind exposed. And oh my God, Rick, the weather on Sunday looks absolutely brutal. We're talking 40, 50 mile an hour winds. We're talking potentially 4 days of rain. Like, dude, you want chaos? You want, like, who knows who's going to win? This is the kind of tournament with these kind of guys in the elements that we're going to get, where it's like, dude, throw a dart and good luck trying to pick who's going to win this event.
Yeah, it's going to be ugly this week. This is going to be like, what was the tournament that Max Homa won in Maryland a couple years ago, where it was just rain for 4 days he beat Keegan Bradley. I forget which tournament it was, but
was that the Wells Fargo that got moved to?
Yeah, it was the Wells Fargo. Yeah, because they moved it because it was the President's Cup was at Quill Hollow that year. So yeah, I think it's going to be like that. Sunday is going to be pretty brutal when it comes to the wind and the weather. So yeah, I don't really know what to expect. I did a little modeling with players that are good in high winds, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, let's get into it.
Well, we've seen Jake posted in here a couple of the pairings, but I actually have it here on the old telephone. Some pretty unique pairings. Did you see who? Let me see if I can get it here. See who Keegan Bradley's paired with?
No, I haven't seen any of the pairings.
So they just came out. Keegan Bradley is playing 2 rounds with Tom Brady, the GOAT.
That's his boy.
I know. Boy. Here's another weird one. Bo Hostler. I know I mentioned CMO from DaVitas. It is not. Bo Hostler's playing with Aaron Rodgers. And then your boy, well, I shouldn't say your boy, but Josh Allen is playing with Keith Mitchell, which I think he's done now a couple of times in this event.
Yeah, they play. I think they play every year together. They're friends.
So yeah, it's pretty interesting. Some of the names. I mean, most of these other people, like, I have never heard of the most of these other folks, but those were the big name athletes. There was one more that I saw here. Who was it? Buster Posey's playing with Hideki Matsuyama. Like, who does these pairings? Like, you don't have like a Japanese guy that can roll around with Hideki, like, from, the tech center of the universe. Like, you put him with Buster Posey. Like, who's making these selections?
I don't know.
So
is Larry Fitz playing with Kevin Streelman? I don't even know if Kevin Streelman's in this field. I don't think he is.
Streelman is not in the field, and I did not see where Larry Fitzgerald ended up.
He probably won't play with anyone besides Fitz.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I don't see him on the list now. Oh, Pau Gasol, tallest man in the field.
He's playing with Colin Morikawa, right?
No, he's playing with Grillo. He's playing with the shortest guy in the field, Emiliano Grillo.
I saw Morikawa and Gasol were playing like a practice round together today. I saw that.
That doesn't surprise me. LA guys, right? Like, that doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah, I'm looking through the list here as we're kind of just because it just came out.
I do want to say just so you guys know out there, this is a no cut event. So it's 80 guys, no cut. It's a little different than the years before. They're only going to have the amateurs on Thursday and Friday. They won't be there on Saturday and Sunday this week. And the Saturday, Sunday rounds everybody will be playing at Pebble Beach. So little different format than before. So when we're going to be doing low field, no cut events, we're going to be looking at ownership a lot because we want to get leverage on the field in GPPs. And that's what we'll talk about in a minute.
Your boy Larry Fitzgerald is playing with Adam Hadwin, so he is in the field this week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So speaking of that, let's go ahead and jump into it. You mentioned it. It's an 80-man field, the best golfers on the PGA Tour. I can't say on the planet, but on the PGA Tour. And here we are, top of the board. Rory McIlroy Scotty Scheffler, Victor Hovland, the guy coming in with arguably the best form, Xander Schauffele. Other than Rory, Rory's been red hot in the Mid-East swing. He's got a second place and a win over there in the desert. But it's a stacked leaderboard. And I guess to your point about ownership, I've got a couple guys that have made bets on in this area. But from a DK perspective, like, because we're talking about an 80-man field, do you think people go stars and scrubs automatically because it's like, oh, there's no cut, I want to fit two of these guys above 10K, 9K in together? Do you think that's the common build, is to go stars and scrubs?
Absolutely. That's what it always is when it's soft pricing and when it's no cuts, because you're going to get 4 rounds out of guys no matter what. So, we'll get to it. And also in the 6K range, we got real golfers. We have Seamus Power at the flat min at 6,000, the guy who should have won this tournament like 3 years ago. So we'll get to that later. But yeah, there's real golfers in the 6K range. So it's definitely going to be stars and scrubs. If you want to be different this week, it's going to be balanced. If you want to start your lineups with Colin Morikawa at 9,100 and go down from there, that's going to be different. But I can definitely see people trying to stick like a Cantlay and a Scheffler into their lineups this week or something like that. So that's definitely going to be the common build. So if you, like I said, if you want to go different, you're definitely going to want to play a more balanced lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Morikawa for this field. I know it's not an event that we typically see him at. That's the other thing to take into consideration, is a lot of these guys chose to skip Pebble, right? And typically it's because Pebble's a super difficult course in terms of the elements, right? If the wind's not blowing, if we're not getting rain, like, these guys can tear this place apart. The defense at Pebble is wind and weather, and we're going to get that this week. And so a lot of guys choose not to play here. It's cold, it's rainy, it's wet, it's a tough walk. It's 3 courses. You're playing with an AM. It's six rounds. And so many of these guys are just like, bag it, I'm not going to go do it. Now it's an elevated event. They truncate the field. And so we got all these guys here. So there's part of me that wants to lean heavy into course history, because these guys that were coming here previously, like, they like this track, like, they like playing this course. There's something about it that fits their game, suits their eye. And so for me, not that course history is a must, but I feel like if it's between 2 guys, I'm going to lean course history this week for that fact. The fact that these guys like playing this course, the fact that we haven't seen, Max Homa or Colin Morikawa play this place. I guarantee it's not the first time they have, but again, AMs and weather, man, and we're going to get both this week. Like, how do you feel about that strategy? You think that's a stance that a lot of people are going to take?
Yeah, it'll be interesting what people talk about course history, because I think the course history guys here are pretty obvious. Patrick Cantlay and Jordan Spieth play this event every year, and they both have great course history here. There's not Maximum is actually another guy that has a good course history here. I know he's
last 2 years he hasn't.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, he hasn't played for the last 2 years, but before that, he's had good finishes at this event. So those are definitely the course history guys here. Ownership wise, what I'm looking at right now, it looks like it's going to be pretty chalky from everywhere, from Victor Hovland at 10,200 down to Max Homa at 9,200. So the guys that you're going to get leverage with in GPPs this week are going to be the 2 guys at the top, Rory and Scheffler, and the 2 guys at the bottom, Morikawa and Aberg. I think the reason for that is people are just going to there's a huge price difference between Scotty Scheffler at 11,400 and Victor Hovland at 10,200. So you're saving a lot of money being able to get those guys in. So the talent from 10,200 to Max Homa at 9,200 is just too good to pass up with those prices. So that's why people are just kind of getting away from Rory and Scotty up top, Morikawa and Aberg at the bottom. So the ownership looks pretty flat between those guys. So for me, I'm just continue to roll with Scotty. I mean, Scotty at the top, he's a good leverage play this week. This is a course where ball striking is going to be really important. If this guy can ever put some putting together, it'd be great. but I hope he can do that this week. I just like him at every event this year. You're going to hear a lot of me supporting Scotty every week for the whole year. I mean, he's the best player on the planet for a reason. I don't really like Rory this week. I mean, I don't think he ever really plays well for his first event on the PGA Tour every year. He always tears it up in the desert, and then he comes to America, whether it's at Waste Management, whether it's at Torrey, wherever he plays, he never really plays well his first event. So I don't really like Rory this week. I'd rather go to Scheffler. I like Ludwig at 9,000. This guy should have literally won the tournament last week at Torrey. He missed, I think he ended up missing like 5 or 6 putts like inside of 6 feet. If he just makes those putts, and then he missed like 3 like inside of 3 feet or something like that. If he just makes those putts, he wins the tournament last week. And this guy is he didn't play his best last week. He didn't have his putter last week, and he was still there at the top of the leaderboard. Guy's an absolute stud. I like him at every course you can play, and he's the guy. So for me, I'm probably going to start my lineup Scotty and Ludwig. I mean, I think that's a good way to start to be different. They're both going to be low owned. But between the chalky guys, from Hovland down to Homa, I'll just stick with the course history guys here, Cantlay and Spieth. I think and Homa, I think like they're good course fits for Pebble. Cantlay especially. He's going to be my one and done pick this week. I love Cantlay at this course. I mean, he's pretty much done everything besides win it. Second, a third, and ninth. Sorry, that's like fourth, a third, and 11th. Second, third, and ninth is Spieth, but fourth, third, and 11th. I think he's just primed for this course. So I like Cantlay and Spieth in the middle. I don't really have a lean on anybody else. Maybe JT. I don't really know how I feel about JT at the moment. I mean, I know he's coming in kind of hot with good form, but I don't know. I feel like I need to see it a little bit more from JT before I click that name. It's still a little scary for me to click just because of how bad he was playing last year. He did get to play a lot of cupcake courses already this year, so easy places to make birdie. Let's see how he does in the elements at a little bit more of a difficult track this week. So I don't know about JT. And then I'm completely out on Morikawa. One thing I have made a mental note about for a long time now, and it's just do not play Morikawa in bad weather. He absolutely blows in bad weather. So completely out on Morikawa this week. I'd much rather go to Aberg, somebody who's played in bad weather overseas and stuff like that. So for me, it's Scotty, it's Aberg, it's Cantlay, it's Spieth, and then a little bit of leans towards Homa and Thomas, but that's about it for me.
Yeah, the way that I'm going to build lineups this week, kind of thinking through things. Mike asked a question about JT. Yes, he has been playing better. We saw him at the Amex. He came in third. He probably should have won that event, but I think he hit 2 balls in on the water on the final day on Sunday that basically took away all the chances that he had. So he has been playing better. The ball striking numbers are good. Really where he kind of lost his way is he lost his driver for basically the second half of the year. And it seems like he's kind of found that again, and still not the weapon that it was when he was winning PGA championships, but it feels like JT started to round it into some form. So I'm not quite as scared of JT as you are, but I would say, for me, I think what I'm going to try and do is go 4 9K guys. I'm going to go 4 guys in the 9K. I think you can, to your point, pick your poison between Cantlay and Aberg. If you want to sprinkle Colin Morikawa in there because of his terrible track record on weather, you can do that. But I love Homa. You mentioned it. He actually, even though he hasn't played it in 2 years, he does have experience here. He and Morikawa both went to Cal. This is right. It's not right down the road, but this is very close to where they went to college. So it's a track, elements, conditions they are used to. Jordan Spieth, the king of Pebble Beach, other than Patrick Cantlay. And so all of those guys in the 9K range, I think I like to substitute. And I could even see taking a guy like Xander and going like Xander and Aberg and then grabbing Homa and Spieth and then shoving 2 6K guys in there to round out lineups. To your point, there's real names down at the bottom of this field. And I think, to your point, the guys above Xander, I think, are going to be under-owned. So if you're looking for leverage points, if you really want to be different, go 2 guys in the 10Ks, like above 10K. Like play Xander and Rory, and that's going to be a unique build versus what everybody else is putting in the lineups. Because I think a lot of people, to your point, are going to go like Xander Cantlay or Xander Cantlay Aberg. Like you're going to see that kind of lineup to start a bunch of DK lineups this week. And so I like the idea of even going like uber balanced and going 4 guys in the 9Ks to kind of make yourself different. Because to your point, there's a ton of talent here.
Yep. I do want to say one more thing here. I did on Fantasy National, I did a windy AF model. They have a thing you can click where it's like windy as fuck model there. And the 3 guys up here on this slide that fall in the top 10 as far as strokes gained total. Justin Thomas at 2, Scotty Scheffler at 3, and then Patrick Cantlay at 9. So those are the 3 guys, according to Fantasy National, that play best in the wind. We all remember Justin Thomas's great round at Sawgrass a few years ago when the weather was absolutely terrible, and he played like one of the most phenomenal rounds I've ever seen. So that does make me like Justin Thomas a little bit more, especially if the elements are going to be bad this week. So yeah, I mean, you can literally, if those are the guys you like, you can start Scheffler, Cantlay, and Thomas and go 3 6K guys if you want, and feel like you have a pretty comfortable lineup. So just throwing that out there. I'll keep talking about those guys as we move down, as who are the other guys that play well in bad weather. But as far as the top 10 goes, those are the 3 guys that I see in my model for windy conditions.
Dropping down into the 8Ks, again, tons of options. Finau should have won at Farmers last week. If Dude could have hit a putt, I know we saw Aberg miss like 9 3-footers and Max Homa miss 2 or 3 of them. But the reality was like Tony Finau was shaky on the greens, dude. Like he was visibly having problems like committing to putts, which is insane to think. But if that dude,
can I tell you why?
Yes, please do.
Have you seen the way that guy sets his putter up to the ball now?
No, well, I know the toes like in the air like this.
The ball is like this, and this toe is like this. He's literally hitting almost his putter at like a 90-degree angle. I'm like, how can you like have a consistent putting stroke with that? I'm just like, there's no way this guy is going to be able to putt well with that kind of like toe off the ground like that. I mean, he needs to fix that. He needs to get his putter flat on the ground or do something and fix that, because that is going to lead to bad putting. I just do not believe in that method right there.
Yeah, I know you're a toe down guy. I've played
I'm a toe down guy. Yeah,
that's you. You're like almost like arm lock style toe down.
Yeah, if anything, I like the heel. I like the heel up a little bit. It just makes it more plain for your swing. But that's just my 2 cents on Tony Finau's putting.
Yeah, but to your point, I mean, the dude was a ball striking freak at the Farmers, and he just could not putt. But I mean, this is a stacked 8K range, and it feels like no one's going to play Tom Kim, no one's going to play Sam Burns, and probably no one's going to play like Sung Jae or Fleetwood. Like it feels like the ownership, if you get guys in this area, don't get me wrong, like I feel like this is the area that's probably going to be ignored the most, this 8K range, but it feels like you're going to get a lot of people like Fitz and Day and like those 2 guys feel to me like they're going to probably Benny Ann, like those 3 guys are going to garner the ownership in here. And like, just again, I think long-term player profile skill set, like why not Tom Kim? Like this feels like a perfect Tom Kim track. Like, I don't know if he's got experience playing in like, terrible elements, but I don't know, like the guy that hits a ton of fairways and, a ton of greens, and you just hope he gets a hot putter. Like, why not Tom Kim here?
Yeah, I like that call. I definitely don't mind it. The course history guy, there's only one in this entire range. It's Jason Day at 8,400. That's the reason why he's coming in as it seems like he's coming in as the most chalky in this range. So I'll go ahead and fade a chalky Jason Day in this 8K range. The only other guy that I'm seeing that's coming in double-digit ownership in this range is Benny Ann at 8,000 flat. I kind of get that. The guy's been playing really good golf recently. Yep. I kind of understand that. I do like the Tom Kim call. He is number 10 on my windy model here, so that tells me he plays good in good conditions. But I'm gonna go back to this guy, man. This guy at 8,100, Nikolai Højgaard. he's good. He is good at golf, and this is a good price that I think we're getting for him. I mean, who knows? I mean, a year from now, we might be getting Højgaard in the 10K range. He's on the brink of winning a tournament, and I would not be surprised if he wins a big boy tournament like this. This guy played really, really well last week. Just a couple bad swings here and there that cost him the tournament. He's won on the European Tour. He deserves to be priced in the 8K range with these guys. He is number 4 in my Windy model. I like Nicolai Højgaard this week at 8,400. He's coming. I mean, 8,100. He's coming in low owned. Tony Finau is number 1 in my Windy model. So he plays good in these bad conditions. So if this guy can learn how to putt and make some putts, I mean, he's going to be up there. I don't see any course history. He finished 38th here 5 years ago. That doesn't mean anything to me. So I like Finau. I like Højgaard. I have a soft spot for Tommy Fleetwood always. He played well in the desert. He was a couple weeks ago. I think he won. Yeah, he did win. Yeah, he beat Rory on Sunday in Dubai. So he's coming in off of a win. So he's coming in off of good form. This is his first event in America for the PGA Tour. So European, likes to play in the wind, so likes to play in bad conditions. So I like Fleetwood. I'm always going to click Fleetwood's name. He's one of those guys that I don't know why. I just have a really soft spot for him. He's probably behind Tiger and Ricky, my third favorite golfer on tour. I don't know why. I just have an affinity for him, but I just like him. I like his swing. I like his swagger. So yeah, Tommy, Tony, Nicolai for me, Tom Kim, Bubble Boy for me. I'll fade a chalky Jason Day. The only other guy here that falls into my Windy model is Sung J M. He looks like he's 6th in my model for bad conditions. So he hasn't been playing great. Let's see. He had a missed cut, 25. He's been playing okay. He has a 1 missed cut here 5 years ago. Doesn't really mean anything, but I don't really have any lean for Sung Jae. I'll probably just stay away from him, but I'll definitely play the guys that I like there. I mean, I think my favorite play here is Nicolai at 81.
Yeah, I like Højgaard. The only thing that gives me a little pause is, historically we've seen that like around the green, because these are, postage stamp greens, the smallest on the tour rota, that, his around the green game is kind of the one area where he consistently loses strokes. Not to say that you need to be Jordan Spieth or Scotty Scheffler around the greens, but it's kind of been shown that you need to play well there. With all that being said, Victor Hovland's played well here, and everybody knows about his, struggles as a chipper and around the green. So, I like the Højgaard call. His best weapon is his driver. In terms of his distance, he can get a little erratic with the ball off the tee. But to your point, like while everybody's kind of going goo goo gaga over Ludwig Aberg, here's this guy Nicolai Højgaard, who is a proven winner on the DP World Tour. Him and his brother are both studs, and to your point, like I think he's one of those future stars, if the PGA can continue to hold on to him, that I think could emerge here in the next couple of years. I think if you're not playing Jason Day or Benny On, you're going to be different playing guys from this area. So if you have to your point, like if you've got a feeling about a guy, if there's something that you like about a guy in this range, you instantly assert a guy from the AK into your lineups, you're going to be different than most people. And so, if you play Cameron Young or Fleetwood or Im, you're going to have ownership leverage there. And I think there's a case for all three of those guys. Cam Young is the one guy that I don't know, man. He broke last year, like right before the swing season, and it just feels like he just hasn't gotten it back yet. And I don't really know what's going on with him.
He did play in the final group with Rory 2 weeks ago in Dubai, so he might have gotten something back. He kicked Paul Tesori off his bag. He has a new caddy, so maybe we might. I mean, I talked about it in earlier show that I think he might have a good year this year. I think it's a nice bounce back situation for Cam Young.
I hope so. I'm a big fan of his. Him and Will Z kind of have a special place in my heart. Just they came out at the same time, and I love everything about his game. It's a power game. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. I'd like to see him do well. And, I don't know if this is, traditionally the best fit for him, but I do think he's got the skill set, much like some of the guys at the top of the board, that when they're playing their best golf, it doesn't matter where it is. Like they can just go out and just dominate courses. And he's that kind of player. He's a power player. But here, I like I said, I'm sticking with Kim. I like him at 8K. I could see using quite a bit of him. He doesn't have the best finishes here recently. We haven't seen the best of him for quite some time now. But again, there's still that when you look at the stats on Fantasy National, what he's been doing, he's still striking the ball fairly well. It's not the prime Tom Kim that we had when he made his run and he won 2 tournaments. But when you look at him, really where things have kind of slid a little bit is really off the tee. And here you're going to be able to club down. You don't have to hit a big ball. And, places like Farmers, which he didn't play, and even American Express to some extent, it's not a good course fit for him. I think this is a better course fit.
Okay. I think that's all. I mean, I like the call. I like the Tom Kim call. This is a good course fit for him.
Yep. Dropping down to the 7Ks again, more names. We talked about him off the jump, but I think Keegan's down in this range, isn't he? Oh my gosh, where is he at? Yeah, 7,700.
7,700.
I like Sahith a lot. I like Sahith anytime we get him on POA. He clawed back to make the cut at the Farmers. He's very good around the greens. That was on display last week multiple times because poor guy could not hit a green in regulation to save his life, and he was up and down and making putts on Thursday, which would have been your normal cut day, to come through and make the cut. So I like Sahith here. Bo Hostler's a popular pick. This is a course fit wise for him. It sets up really well. I mentioned he's playing with Aaron Rodgers, which seems really, really weird, but he's doing it. Adam Scott, we haven't seen Adam Scott for quite some time. Chris Kirk, he wins the Sony. Everybody picks him to win again at the Century, and he competes. And then it's kind of like he's a forgotten man again. But of course, fit-wise, this is a good fit for Chris Kirk. This should set up really well for him. Rose a winner. Ricky Fowler back after a terrible Farmers, which he never plays well at. And then inarguably, an absolute robot, Eric Cole, $7,300. This dude was in the 9Ks 2 weeks ago. Where do you go here? And do you think there's clear pivot plays?
Don't play Eric Cole because he's the chalk. Just a complete misprice. I think there's no reason he should be 7,300 after one missed cut. The guy has literally made cut after cut after cut, top 15 finishes all year, all of last year. There's just no reason why he should drop from, what was he, 93,400 last week to get $2,000 off. It's just people are going to go back to him. I didn't think Torrey was a good fit for him. That's a long course, but we're coming back to a short accuracy course that has Eric Cole written all over it, man. I think if I'm going to eat the chalk somewhere on this board, it's going to be with Eric Cole in the 7K range. He's going to be the chalk down here. Everyone seems to be flocking towards him. I'm seeing close to 20% ownership on him. If you're trying to get different, don't play Eric Cole. But yeah, man, he's the man. He is just an absolute machine. At a course like this where it's short, I think he struggles at big courses, so it makes sense why he struggled at Torrey, which is I think the longest course on tour or something like that. So definitely gonna go back to Eric Cole here. He's number 1 in your stat model, number 6 overall in your model. Just an absolute value play at 7,300. I think it's just a. You're going to get 4 rounds out of him no matter what. He's not going to miss a cut for you or whatever this week. So I think I usually don't say this very often, but I think Eric Cole's a free square in your lineups this week. I think he should be in every one of your lineups. He's going to make a lot of birdies this week, and I wouldn't be surprised if he won this tournament. So I like him. The other guys that are showing a little bit of chalk, like you said. Who else is? Yeah, Bo Hostler a little bit at 7,800. He's got a lot of good course history here. A little bit of love for Denny at 7,500. He also has good course history here. Brendan Todd at flat 7K is seeming to get a little bit of love. He's also a course history guy here. I don't know about you, but I'm gonna go back to this guy, man. I've seen him play well now for 2 weeks, and I kind of believe in him. Kevin Yu at 7,200. He played really. He was a first round leader last week. Ended up finishing sixth, finished third at the Amex the week before. He had a seventh place finish here last year. I think it's a good spot to play him, man. You're going to get a nice ownership break on him if you decide to fade Eric Cole. You could play both. You could play both Cole and you if you have a little bit more of a balanced lineup and you're not trying to go into the 6K range. So, yeah, man, I like the pivot play off of Cole. If you're going to pivot off of Cole, I like the pivot play to Kevin Yu at 7,200. Nick Taylor, a former winner here. He has obviously really good course history. It looks like nothing worse than the 39th here. He makes the cut here every year. So 7,200, that's a good play for me too. Justin Rose, I'm going to stay away from. I know he won this tournament last year, but he's been really kind of bad the last three events, 48th, the 56th, and the 57th. He's not showing me enough upside to click that name. As far as guys who play in bad conditions here, in windy conditions that are in my windy model here, Harris English at 7,100. He's fifth in my model here. Adam Hadwin at 7,300. Corey Connors at 7,700. Kevin Yu at 7,200. I'm liking Kevin Yu the more and more I talk about him. He's just shown me enough the last 2 weeks to click that name. So I think if I'm going to rank my favorite plays down here, one's going to be Eric Cole, two's going to be Kevin Yu, and then three. I'll roll with you. Thigala, 7,900. I like the Poa call, 15th in your model here. I think between him and Poston, Poston's going to get a lot of love because he's been obviously really good this year. But I think Thigala is a nice ownership break off of a little bit more of a chalky Poston at 7,900. So I think those are my three favorite plays in this range. What about you?
Yeah, the only other guy that I'd throw in there
You're
is
on mute.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Can't hear you.
Uh-oh, hold on. All right, see, does that work?
It says you're not on mute, but I can't hear you. I don't know if the audience can hear you.
Let's see here. Hold on. Speaker says it's working.
I legit can't hear you.
So weird. Okay.
Is it my end? Yeah, talk, I guess.
It might be you. So I'm gonna pretend that people can hear me. And when people watch it in the comments, it's like, dude, you ain't got no audio. Did you get me back yet? All right. All right, let's see here if Rick gets my audio back. It says I'm talking.
Back. Go ahead and talk.
Okay. So the other guy that I would throw out here is Keith Mitchell. Jake, you saw him mentioned in the comments. He's playing with Josh Allen, so some love for the Nickel City Mafia crew. Keith Mitchell's played well here, and so I like him a lot down here. I think you're going to get an ownership break. And Rick hit on a couple of the other guys, and Kevin Yu and Nick Taylor that are kind of right around him. Also right below him, Matthew Pavon, who's just been lights out. If you want to get different, go play Pavon because no one's going to play him. And sandwiched right next to, Brendan Todd, no one's going to play Mitchell and Pavon. So I like both of those guys a lot here this week. And then Bez is the other one. Bez is kind of up and down. You never really know what you're going to get with him. He finished second at the Amex. And then, now here he is. He's back again. Rick, can you hear us? Are we good to go?
Yeah, we're good to go. I don't know what just happened, but I think I just lost hearing in my AirPods. I don't know what happened, but yeah, I can hear you. Sorry about that.
Yeah, the two guys that I threw out were Mitchell and Pavon. Like no one's going to click the button on either of them. Mitchell's actually been playing pretty good. He's got a top 10 sprinkled in with some missed cuts. But he's played really well here. 3 out of 5 made cuts, 3 top 30s, a top 5. So I like Keith Mitchell here. And then Pavon, dude, he's just been red hot. And historically, when you look at what Pavon is kind of known for on the DP World Tour, it's not for being a bomber. It's for, being really good around the greens, being a really good putter, a fairway finder. And so I like all of those things here. So I would say if I'm going to try to get a little bit different, I could see clicking the button on Mitchell and Pavon down here. And I like the Todd and the Nick Taylor call as well.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't really know what Matthew Pavon does well. If he's a good around the green guy and a good putter, then this is a good course for him.
Yeah, I wonder if we just take a quick look on Fantasy National. I know it's a small sample size, but if we just take a look at what his player profile has been, it looks like actually the only place where he's consistently not done well is around the greens.
Okay.
He's gained on approach, gained off the tee. His tee to green game is great. His putting the last 2 weeks have been phenomenal. And it's really a short sample size, other than the 3 tournaments this year where he's basically struck the shit out of the ball and putted really well. It's kind of all over the board. So, maybe a little too early to tell, but again, I'm not afraid to ride the hot hand. And typically, when a guy wins, everybody jumps off of his bandwagon the next week. So we saw it with Chris Kirk. Just ride it. When a guy's hot, he's hot.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that at all. Man, we got some real golfers
Dropping
here
down.
In range.
Yeah, we got real guys down here. We have actual professional golfers. And I think the one thing now that we're talking about 2 straight years, I'm just going to jump down to him because I do like him a lot, and I actually like him here this week. Taylor Moore, dude, this part of the year, I don't know what it is. If it's playing on POA, being on the West Coast, like the dude is just good here. And he has been playing really, really well again. And I just think, Taylor Montgomery. I said Taylor Moore. I just think that you just keep playing him. Like he just continues to play really, really well the first part of the season, and so I'm all about giving him another chance. We don't really have any sample size for him at Pebble Beach, but again, we've 4 made cuts, a top 10, a bunch of other top 15s. It's almost exactly the same as last year, so I like him here at this spot.
Yeah, I like the call. Did he play here last year? What did he do last year?
No, he didn't play here last year.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Okay. Yeah, coming in with good form. Obviously a really good putter. I like that call. As far as ownership goes, it looks like the 3 guys that are showing a little bit of ownership here are going to be Hubbard at 6,300, McNeely at 6,200. Those make sense. They both have good course history here. And then a little love for Tom Hoge, a past winner here. Everyone else seems pretty low owned. I don't really see much else going on there. You like the putting prowess of Taylor Montgomery. I like the putting prowess of Seabez. He was never ever a click for me, but hey man, I mean he technically he won the American Express.
First place money. Homeboy got first place money.
He did. So yeah, I like Seabez here. I will continue to click Ben Griffin's name as long as he plays the way he's been playing. I know he had a miscut last week, but before that, he was coming in with pretty good form at 6,400. I like him. Other than that, I mean, I said earlier, Seamus Power. He's coming in with pretty bad form. He also withdrew a couple weeks ago, but he is the flat min here.
Yeah, he might be going through an injury. I heard that somewhere. I do not know if that's true. Go to Google and figure it out for yourselves. But I had heard on Twitter that he was playing through an injury or coming back from an injury.
Okay. Just be careful with him if you click his name. But it is a nice, he's a real golfer. This guy's he's a PGA Tour winner at flat 6,000 at a course that he plays well. So,
yep.
If you have the stones to click that name, go ahead and do it. Other than that, I know it sounds crazy, but I might click Nick Dunlap's name at
Nick
6,900.
Dunlap, really?
I don't know, man. He might be the real deal. He might not be a $6,900 golfer. I mean, this guy is he's being compared to, he's in the conversation with his achievements, like with Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson. Like, these are the names that he's been being compared to. But 6,900, coming off of a win. I know I know the last 2 weeks have been like a whirlwind for him, obviously, but who knows, man? He showed me a lot at the American Express. He was in the final group with Sam Burns and JT, and he beat both of them. That's pretty damn good. So no one's going to click his name, obviously, coming off of a win or whatever, and then being an amateur. But he might not be a $6,900 golfer. We don't know that. He might be an AK golfer that we just don't know. So in GPPs, I don't mind the click. 6,600, Thomas Dietrich. I like that. He played really well last. Yeah,
dude. Saturday,
yeah.
with the lead on the last hole, dude put a gun in his mouth and pulled the trigger.
Yeah, and that happens. So don't act like you've never played a bad round of golf before.
Dude, I've done that many times.
Yeah, so we know that happens, but he's the only guy in the 6K range that, according to my Windy model here, he plays well. It looks like he's 8th in my model for windy conditions. So I like Thomas Dietrich here. Seems like a good course fit for him. Kurt Kitayama, I mean, we saw him win an elevated event last year. Big driver of the golf ball. I don't know. Maybe not. It's a tough click for me, but yeah, I see the reason why Mark Hubbard and Matt McNeely are getting love. Matt McNeely obviously coming off a big injury last year, but before that, I mean, this is his course. Like, he grew up on this course. Yeah. So like he used to like live on this course. His dad is a billionaire and lived in Pebble Beach, so he would play this course growing up. So he knows this course really well. Runner-up finish in the past, a 5th place finish in the past. So, I mean, yeah, he's showing a little rust maybe, but coming back to a course that he's very comfortable with. Don't mind that click at 6,200. Hubbard, pretty good course history here, but I don't really like Mark Hubbard. It's not really a click for me, but I don't really have anybody else. Matt Kuchar, 9th in your model. No thanks.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I love a bunch of guys in the 9Ks. A couple guys that I like that you did mention. I'm really high on Hoagie. I just am, especially at this, like, a discount. Like, you get Hoagie less than, in the low, below $7,500. I feel like that's a discount. $6,700 there. He won this tournament 2 years ago. Form's been okay, not great, but I like him there. You mentioned Kitayama, but the guy I really like, the dude's won on coastal courses. He plays well at short tracks, and you just got to hope he doesn't putt himself out of the tournament. It's Emiliano Grillo, dude. Like, Grillo has been playing really good, and I know that he hasn't played this course maybe ever or in a really long time, but he's coming in riding really good form. He shows up pretty well in the stat model. Played well at Farmers last week, which is not a good course fit for him. So I like Grillo here, and I think you're getting him at low ownership, and I like that spot, and even right above him in Putnam. I like Putnam as well too. Putnam's been playing good, and this is a good course fit for him. I know he missed the cut here last year, but again, the things that Putnam does well, he's good around the greens. He's good in finding fairways. Like, those are all the things you need from a player profile you'd be looking for at this course. So I like both of those guys at 6,800, Putnam and Grillo. But to the point that we made early in the show, like, I think you can go any direction down here at the 6Ks and make a case for playing guys. SH Kim, the only guy that I would say I would not play, I'm not playing Webb Simpson. Like, the fact that he got a sponsor's exemption into this tournament, like, he's just been bad, dude. And I don't know, man. I don't know. He broke and it's done, and maybe he's just riding out his time until he goes play on the senior tour. But don't play Webb Simpson. Actually, I take that back. Everybody play Webb Simpson who's playing against me in DFS. I highly recommend that you play Webb Simpson. But he's trash. That's the only guy down here I don't think I can make a case for. Brendan Wu or even Mackenzie Hughes. There's a bunch of guys down here. Ben Griffin's been playing great. Luke List has been playing great. So I don't know, dude. I think you could throw a bunch of darts down here. You just got to hope you hit the right guy, the guy that makes that run this week. And if you look scattered throughout the 6Ks, there's a bunch of guys who played this course and have top 10, top 5 finishes in this event down in the 6Ks.
Yeah, Brandon Wu, runner-up finisher last year. Lost to Justin Rose on Sunday. Yeah, I ain't playing Webb Simpson. I don't really understand why Matt Kuchar is 9th in your model. I ain't playing Matt Kuchar.
I just run the numbers. I don't tell him what to say, but I don't know how Matt Kuchar ended up 9th. His history, for whatever reason, it's giving me odd history readings for him. He's like 19th in course history with 2 missed cuts and a 38th in the 22nd. So maybe I weighted things a little bit odd. I'm not sure. And, obviously he's not coming in with very good form. So yeah. I don't know why Matt Kuchar is getting the love in the model, but I'm not playing Kuch either.
Yeah. I don't got much else. Cam Davis. Nice price, 6,700.
Man, I know that's a big discount on
Cam anytime you get Cam Davis at low ownership at a nice price where you're going to get 4 rounds out of him. I never mind that click. I mean, that's a click that I can always go to.
You know what, dude? That is the best call that we have made on this show. Like, go play Cam Davis. You're right. The dude scores. He's very good in eagle rate, birdie or better rate. Like,
yeah. He always outscores his finishing position. He makes a ton of birdies, makes a lot of bogeys, but on DraftKings, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, go play Cam Davis. That is the best statement I think that's come out of this right now. And he has good course history here. So that's the perfect play. And to your point, you're getting a guy who usually is in the 8 and 9Ks, and we're getting him at $6,700.
Yep.
No brainer.
Rolling with one and done this week.
Dude, it's tough. So I'm going to wait until things mature because, one of my picks is always the guy who's in the top 10 in the in betting odds but has the lowest ownership. So I'll see how that materializes tomorrow. But I'm leaning in my one where I just pick. I kind of want to take Spieth, but I feel like half the dudes are going to take Spieth this week. And I might pivot to Xander, which seems really, really weird, but he's number 1 on my model. He's coming in with great form. And I just feel like Xander's like king of the, high floor, low ceiling. Like, he's not going to win, but he's not going to finish worse than 10th.
Yeah, I can see that. He's coming in with incredible form, man. This guy's like on the verge of winning a tournament. And I don't think he's ever played this event. So yeah, I don't mind the Xander call. I'm gonna roll with Cantlay for sure in one of my picks. I think with my other one, I might go a little bit off the beaten path and maybe take someone like Finau or somebody like maybe like JT, somebody that I feel like plays well in bad conditions, but we'll see. But definitely Cantlay's gonna definitely get a click for me this week. I think he's gonna win this week.
Yeah, I took Cantlay in my statistical one last week and felt really good after round 1, and then that evaporated very, very quickly.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Well, that's going to do it for us. Okay, you were going to say something.
Nope, that's it. I'm good.
That's going to do it for us. Appreciate everybody who hung in there. We had a bunch of folks chiming in and sending messages, so appreciate all of you guys. Remember to join the Discord. We'll put the link down in the description of the video. Rick and I are on there pretty frequently, but the Discord is free. There's a bunch of other channels and you can tune in. The guys are talking football, even though we're winding down the season. And I gotta say it, Rick, your Ravens, dude, what was that? Dude, that was like, they looked like a different team on Sunday.
They were a different team on Sunday. I don't know. I'm still grieving. I don't know what to say besides I feel like they panicked. I feel like they got down. This is the first time Lamar Jackson has been down double-digit points since 2021. So 3 years since he's been down double-digit points in a game. And I think when that happened, they just hit the panic button and started throwing the ball nonstop. They refused to run the ball, which is their bread and butter. Chiefs got absolutely shredded last week on the ground by the Bills, and we should have done the same thing. And that just led to one bad decision after another, a couple bad, unfortunate turnovers in the end zone, and lose the game.
Yeah. I mean, hands down. I mentioned this in our text Discord when we were texting the five of us during the game. Like Spags called an amazing game, dude. Like that was you and I, or you weren't on the show, but I was on the show with the guys last week, and I said, look, I just don't know how Spagnuolo is going to stop Lamar Jackson. He has one of the highest blitz rates of anybody. Lamar's fantastic against cover 0 and cover 1. He's great against pressure. And Spags sat back there and he rushed 4 guys, and he'd bring a guy occasionally off the edge, and they just did a wonderful job, dude. Like hats off to the Chiefs defense. That was fantastic. And to your point about Lamar, like it reminded me of the Bills game with Josh Allen, where Lamar looked like he was like, I got to win this game. And he just decided he was going to win it himself versus rather to just play. And they were never down like massively. Even the last couple of drives, like all they had to do was go down the field and score, and it was a game. And it just felt very forced, man. They looked nervous. They were oh man, it looked like a completely different team.
If you would have told me before the game that the Chiefs was going to score 0 points in the second half, I would have been said, there's no way in hell the Ravens are going to lose. But they scored 0 points in the second half. We made defensive adjustments, and we just couldn't get the ball in the end zone or score points. And the refs didn't help. I'm not one to really complain about the refs, but it was definitely one-sided referee-wise. And one bad thing left to another, and we got 0 breaks in that game, and just on to next year, I guess. I don't know.
It's a bummer, man, because the Ravens were my pick to win the Super Bowl this year. They were actually my pick last year. So I got to jump off the Ravens bandwagon because I think I might be a bad omen for them. So,
yeah. All right, man.
Well, I appreciate it. Good luck to everybody this week. Remember, watch the weather. Dude, it's going to get ugly, and who knows how it could change. So, when you're building lineups, take that into consideration. You may want to go weather stacks and play guys that are in the opposite field. We saw it absolutely demolish guys at the Players. I think it was last year or maybe 2 years ago, or just wiped out an entire wave. So take that into consideration when you're building the lineups. And follow us on Twitter. Rick, you can find him on Instagram and Twitter at Riku Mukherjee, and me at the 5-6 Apologist on the X, not Twitter. Good luck this week, and we will see you guys back here next week for the Super Bowl. And I think it's Genesis, right? Tigers tournament.
Waste management.
Waste management. Damn it. All right. Waste management. Still a good one. All right. Have a good night. See you, Rick. Thanks, man.
See ya.